So good afternoon, everyone. I do hope Winfried was very polite, because I didn't understand a word, unfortunately. So, in fact, I don't mean to, I think it's quite appropriate we're in a cinema, because that first video looks the best that it ever has done, and it should do in a place like this. The only thing we're missing is popcorn, Diet Coke, all that type of stuff. And certainly, Evergreen Storage, which is our new commercial model, FlashArray M, which is our new product. Any clues for what's under there? And finally, Pure One, which is our cloud management and support software product. So, let's hope the technology works. The guy at the back said, the most expensive ones of these work worst than the least expensive. So Logitech is the way forward, I've heard. So we call this a pure transformation. And it truly is going to be transformative in our view in the way that people look at storage and the way that they run it and the way that they can use it. So the business case in this example is extremely compelling. Now let's look at some of the customers and what they're enjoying from an IT transformation perspective. And the first example, again starting over here, this customer here is ConocoPhillips, who are one of the largest independent oil and gas firms who work in the exploration and production area. Independent storage vendor at the top right-hand corner of the Magic Quadrant, both in terms of vision and also in terms of execution. And if you can compare us with some of the others up here, we are between 60 and 100 times smaller than them. And the next version of this is coming out in a few days, and I'm extremely confident, as are the team here, that not only will we retain our position, but I think we could well improve it. But it has multiple meanings. And as a taster, what does FlashArray M do? It provides 50%, it's 50% faster than the previous version. It provides 2.6 times greater density than the previous version, moving from 15 to 40 terabytes per U. It provides 2.3 times improved power, so it draws 6 watts from 14 with the previous version. And importantly, we only had a few cables last time, 18. We've now reduced that down to 6. So simplicity, speed, power, performance are all elements that are incredibly important to us, along with the modularity of this particular array. So, that's the technology. I'm now going to talk to you about the business model. And for those of you who've been in the industry for 20 or 30 years, I've been in the industry for quite a while, we will all have experienced the traditional model of forklift upgrades and migrations. And this is, in our view, a model that is broken. And by means of an example, you would have come to the end of, you've had your product for a period, it's fully depreciated, you've got a maintenance bill, and you've got a new product, and you have a choice. You can buy one or the other. You buy the product. You then go through this cycle of having to move the data, you're having to get outage windows, potentially run the two in parallel before you retire the old version. We think this is wasteful, risky, and expensive, and we think there is a far better model that we can use. And hence why we're introducing today Evergreen Storage. Now the principle of Evergreen Storage is that you buy an array from Pure, and you have that array from start day one, and then 10 years later you've still got the same array. But every piece of that array is different. So you may have changed the capacity, the performance will have changed, some of the SSDs may have changed as well. But fundamentally, you will have had that array for 10, maybe longer. Because we think that the amount of innovation going on in the market, when you're working in the traditional model, so the forklift upgrades and migrations, you can't benefit from the innovations happening in the IT market. And you look at the...
But most important of all, you weren't forced to rebuy your software. You weren't forced to rebuy the capacity you actually implemented there. So there's a tremendous amount of savings that you gain from this particular model. And this is what we call Evergreen Storage. We thought it was a better model. We thought it was a model that we hope to share with you. and hopefully you can join us in this business transformation. Now, this is something that we're able to do, and FlashArray M allows us to actually build upon that. Because essentially what we're doing is we're getting 5 degrees of freedom to actually make the decision at intervals when it makes the business sense and when it makes a technological sense to make those leap forwards in innovations, right? Whether we're talking about capacity, whether we're talking about performance, whether we're talking about density.
So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us for the second part of today's announcement around PureStorage, FlashArray, and also Pure One. We've already seen and heard how Pure has changed the business model for storage. We're now going to look at the technology side of that. We're also delighted to have Terry Noonan here, who will talk to you shortly about Pure One, the third pillar of our transformation. The reason this might be slightly interesting for you in terms of I have a different perspective in terms of pure storage technology in general because I came from investment banking technology. I joined Pure last year from Barclays, where I had responsibility for different technology companies, not just storage, because the FlashArray M is much more than storage. It's about leading them from the future. We already know this system will last 10 years. We already know now how we will migrate to the new system after this one. No other vendor can tell you that now based on their technology. The FlashArray M has lots of M's in it. We've had mini size. Size is important. If you're a service provider, if you have mobile solutions or mobile challenges, if your data centers are constrained, you want things to be small, but also easy to scale. We have many customers who expand their arrays overnight because we can ship a shelf, expand their capacity non-disruptively overnight, changing the way in which you store data, but also how you run capacity.
No one vendor has really figured out how to combine the two.
In PureStorage, we built our success on the best flash software, but we started to realize that our hardware was holding us back. What if we could build the best hardware?
Achievement to show you the new FlashArray M. As we've heard, size is important in many different walks of life, in many different business lines also. That size capability is something you will hear over and over. As you heard in the film, our founder, John Colgrove, dropped a broad hint there about having 0.5 petabyte in 3U in that chassis. And that's also just the beginning. So think about what that means for you, your business, how that would change if you could run your entire data center in 3U. How would that change your business model for disaster recovery, for migration, for use of colos? These are the things you can now think about for business transformation, not just technology transformation. Scale. Quick to grow, quick to expand, seamless, non-disruptive, online. You can now run your database at 99% because you can have another 50 terabytes of capacity tomorrow if your change control allows it. What does that change for you? Performance, hundreds of thousands of IOPS. Frankly, more than most databases and data warehouses need these days, but as these systems get bigger, as servers get more powerful, you will need more performance. We're already future-proofed for that. If you want to be a pure ASP for either service or support, this is how you can manage your clients' arrays. So again, a way of building a relationship with them, building a trust relationship at a higher level rather than just transactional, buy some storage, buy some support. This allows you to be closer to your customer's business. So we've seen a very clear move in the market to chassis-based systems. Blades have been around for ages, as have network switches. Modularity, plug-in chassis, that's the way forward. If you look at our flash modules, again, a great demonstration of Pure looking to the future. Today, the flash modules are linked by 12 gig SAS connectors, but the chassis are rewired for NVMe in each of those storage slots. So as we start shipping NVMe flash modules, you can simply plug it in to today's chassis and it will work. Think about what that means when you compare that to some of your previous disk technologies where you can't even use the same drive with a different version of the firmware. Different connectivity, different driver, different technology, plug and play. Again, no one else in the industry has that. still being managed by the same software, still by that same proven, reliable, enterprise-grade system. About different RAID groups for transaction logs, which is data, one LUN. LUNs with us are just a construct, they don't really exist. So you get simplicity and benefits of just having one LUN now. Think how that would help your automation. Again, changing the way you do business. And because our data reduction is better than everyone else's, it's done by background compression and deduplication, as well as inline deduping compression. High-end compression is very CPU intensive. That's why it's not done inline.
Can everybody hear me? All right, terrific. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, all the way from California. It's about 9 hours difference, and I'm on the engineering team at PureStorage. And what I wanted to talk to you today about is really our Pure One kind of management and support really offering. We bundled them together that way because it's really a customer experience that we're chasing. We want to provide that unbelievable customer experience that hopefully you can become used to at Pure. So, like Alex, in a previous company, I was a customer. I was responsible for a team that had petabytes of storage spread across multiple data centers. And I'll be honest, I've lived that cycle that we all saw earlier, I think you all have. And I knew, just my whole engineering team knew that when you bought this storage, it was going to be complicated. I had specialized people that only knew that brand of storage. I had to dedicate them there because they had the manual. That was that.
Presentatoren? Of alleen foto's?
Lachen weer.
Wie heeft er een vraag?
Questions in English, please.
Ik kom even naar u toe. Gerrit? Nee? Wie heeft een vraag?
My question is basically, I've heard all great things about PureStorage, but I haven't had a single disadvantage. Is there any?
Versus disk?
So your question is, what is the disadvantage of the solution?
Okay, I'll take that.
All right, I'll come down.
So I'm really pleased you asked that question. Now it's probably worth me just giving you I've been here for 15 weeks, and it's kind of I'll tell you some of the disadvantages, but I'm gonna turn it into an advantage as well, right? Because that's my job. So really I suppose the disadvantage at the moment for us is we are a private company. We're reasonably small. Our resources, so our ability to gain traction as quickly as we would want, has been probably more of a challenge than we would have wanted. But we do see that as also a great opportunity. So, we are still in the motion of trying to sell this message, but we think this message is so compelling that people will come towards us. Now, we need our partners and our customers to understand that, but I suppose that's the biggest disadvantage. Because of our current size, our go-to-market isn't as fast as we would necessarily want it. And by the way, our bar is right up here. We're going to have $1 billion run rate probably by the end of the year. But I suppose size, speed, that's where we want to be, but our bar is always getting higher. So is that good enough for your disadvantage? Let me ask you that question back. Thank you. Any other questions?
Ik weet zeker dat u vragen heeft, maar... you have a question.
You guys mentioned that it was DA now and GA in Q3. What is Q3 to us?
So that's a phased cadence for us. So it's directed availability now as of June the 1st. Q3 general availability will be towards the end of August. That is our current plan in terms of our process expansion, our forward stocking location deployments to be globally there. The end of August is the target we're currently working towards.
Serviceable in the field? You can go and replace any parts of the bits.
Passive, or is it both? Can you use it both active?
So the way that Purity works is active, from a I/O front-end I/O perspective. Yeah. And then what happens is when the data hits the NVRAM, so to make it stateless from a session perspective, one of the actual controllers actually takes over that job. So that means that we can actually come in, and if you turn off the system, pull it out like this. Okay. The other one can just take over without any impact to the performance or the availability of the solution.
The only impact is not this.
Yeah, this is only just this is just the boost. So this is it doesn't know. So when the system boots, it will actually consume a little bit more power. So just make sure that rams a lot of air on there, so it's consuming more power and gets a moment.
I see it has an on and off button.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, because the first model didn't have an on and off button.
But essentially you don't need an on button. You can just rip the power cords out. But if you want to, there is a sequence to shut it down. These are 512 gig drives, but they're actually, this is a unique module that actually carries two flash drives on there, right? So essentially, though you'll see they're 256 gig in size, it's actually 512 gig module itself. The biggest one we do today is 2 terabytes, so two 1 terabyte drives.
Yeah, because I saw